Hey, good evening. Maria back with another video. It's 8:17 p.m. It is October 13th. It is Thursday evening, and Thursdays are my favorite day for whatever reason. I just feel more energized on Thursdays than I usually do. The other days of the week, and yeah, I do pay attention to the days of the week, and I will discuss that a little bit more in my new channel that I am literally committing myself to this, okay? So somehow, some way, I will finish my video and have it uploaded. Um, I said during the fall, okay? So, I mean, I wanted it to be like September 21st or somewhere around there, but it will be up and running before the coming of winter. So anyway, I was sitting here thinking about, being judged by other people, and um, why this comes to mind is because I think a lot of people, project their fears and their, ideas of living on other people, because most of it is because of like tradition and seeing a certain way of life among people so played over, that they think that everybody wants the same things as they do. Some people, they have, they've been married, they have lots of children, grandchildren, stuff like that, and then they think of me as someone who is, careless or unrealistic or anything. But no, that's not the case with me. What it is that um, I obviously my channel is about gang stalking and human trafficking. But what happens in this situation is when you deal with people who have like a beef against you, and they always have, and they created a lot of setbacks in my life, and like even back in the days of going to school and everything. So, as an adult, I realize this, and I'm not trying to start an argument because I really don't want to do that, or like start talking about every little screwed up thing that happened in the course of my targeting or anything like that. It is very disturbing to me, and I still just sometimes think, oh my God, like, I'm sickened by somebody who wants to bully someone to that point. But anyway, what I wanted to say is that no, I'm not. I'm just somebody who struggles to survive. And I think a lot of people can relate to this, whether they're all by themselves, or they're in a family, single parent home, married people, children, so on and so forth. Everyone it has to struggle to survive. That's not anything new. But, I think in my case, a lot of people look at me as a woman who would think that they would want to get married for the financial security. And I don't believe that anything is financially secure. Nothing is, okay? You can be rich one day and lose everything. It's not impossible, okay, for somebody to fall on hard times. And it is, life to me is very much a unpredictable journey, and we have to be appreciative of every moment and live in the moment, instead of like being overly nostalgic when we think about the better times when you had like gobs and gobs of money. And then you also have to be in the moment, because you don't want to you know overanalyze or dramatize or dread what the future holds. So we just have to live in the moment. I live in the moment. And it was something that took me a very long time to do, because all my life I've always been somebody who was constantly focused on the future. But, I would say because of the gang stalking, I realized that everything in my past was nothing that I could appreciate. I don't uh, want any element of that life that I had, because it was a very traumatizing experience for me, and it was very disturbing. It leaves me with this sense of being very disturbed, knowing that I was among people who literally basically had no regard for who I was as a person, and wanted to literally destroy every aspect of my life, and had always wanted to. Just based on my history, I think that pretty much speaks for itself. But this is not, I don't want to go into the bashing, because it's not about bashing, but this is my situation. So in my case, no, I think there's a lot of people who are in situations where they they think that relying on another individual, like for example some women who want to get married because marry a man who's financially secure. And no, I'm not a gold digger in any way, shape, or form. And it's not about being like, being all noble, like, oh, I can't allow myself to use another person. It's not necessarily about this being a noble gesture or trying to be righteous in any way. It's also about, but I'm not a gold digger, but it's also about the sort of abuses that occur in a lot of relationships that I have to protect myself from. And I also understand that there's nothing in me that has that maternal feeling in me at this age. Okay, like I'm maternal with my son. Like when I see my son, like I always have this, like I turn into this like little voice, like, oh, he's my son. And it's like a caring, very deep caring, love for my son. I'm his mother, right? But I don't, at this age, I don't have it in me to be maternal to anyone other than my son. Okay, aside from that, I realize I'm an older woman. And as time goes on, in people in their 50s, such as me, we break down, we become old, and we become less active. What I mean by that is like, I still like to go and go to the park when I can, or walk or whatever, but overall, people lose their vitality. They're not able to do as much. Now, I don't have any signs in me right now that are slowing down, but if I was to have a child right now, I would slow down probably in about 10 years, and then I would end up being a burden to my child, and I would never want to do that. Okay, so I have to think my life through, and even though I am in a very, I would say, a vulnerable situation because I'm a woman, by myself, and I have dealt with all kinds of abuses with people who claim to care about me, and then also have to think about, it would be very easy for someone to abuse someone like me. And like I've said in my other videos, try leaving in a situation like that, because the frenzy in people gets so out of control that they think they're having fun with it. They might think that you're resisting certain quote unquote suitors, whoever they might be, right? They might think you're doing it because you're like, they think, oh, maybe she's embarrassed or maybe she's uncomfortable. In their mind, they're convinced that you might be interested in this person. You know what I mean? And this is where it gets scary because, oftentimes these people would not be the kind of people that, whoever this person is behind, manipulating the scenes, whether that be a blood relation or maybe an ex-spouse, a high school associate, whatever, okay? Manipulating things behind the scenes. And all you do is see these people as the abuse. They represent abuse to you, that you become fearful. It's disturbing to you. And I think a lot of that has to do with the sexual harassment issue. Like, when you think of, in a workplace, that sort of behavior is considered to be sexual harassment because you're, putting an excess attention on an individual. You're like making light of a situation that is literally like, it opens up so many childhood traumas and as well as adult traumas. I can't tell you how disturbed that feeling becomes. And because number one, you're shocked that somebody would, number one, want to manipulate your employment. Number two, force you into marriage or prevent you from being married or prevent you from living your life. I mean, it's just like, it becomes very sickening to an individual. And but aside from that, and try leaving. So I can't allow myself to be in a situation where I'm going to put myself smack dab in the middle of an abusive situation. It's a wise decision. Okay, and in my case, I live in a 50-50 world, which most people do. Things are either going to work out or they don't. And I'm an adult, and when I left home, what I mean by left home is like when I decided to raise my son on my own and make these, make a little small life for ourselves. Uh, I understood what that meant. I understood. Now, I will tell you, I was a little bit more naive than I am now because, I didn't realize that the world was so prejudiced. I didn't realize that the world was so wicked. I mean, I knew they were wicked, but I didn't know how fucking wicked they are. They're like, I can't even tell you how wicked it is. But still, I mean, I didn't realize. But I will say the majority of the hurdles that I experienced were from people who claimed to care about me. You know what I mean? And it's easy when you're dealing with somebody such as myself. I'm somewhat of an eccentric person, and people think you can change a person. They think that you can. Okay, you can do certain things, but it's going to be very destructive to that person. And people don't understand, like, people are supposed to be who they are. And in my case, I'm an eccentric person mainly because of my IQ level. Okay, and I do understand that when I make decisions based on fact, previous experience, maybe scientific research or whatever. There's always a good reason why I see things the way that I do. And I think I get, when I deal with the issues of people, acting against me or trivializing, the things that I'm saying, it becomes very, it reinforces that trauma. It reinforces it mainly because, especially now, because, I went through so much, on so many levels. But anyway, I don't want people thinking, worrying, or I don't think first of all, I will tell you, my person would never worry about me. The only thing, these people who I'm not trying to bash these people, okay, I don't want to even bring them up, but I'm going to talk about perpetrators in general, people who stalk, people who manipulate, people who abuse, people who do these sort of things. Targeted individuals are suffering at the hands of certain people through human trafficking or whatever. And what it is that they don't have, they usually are in a situation where they're extremely dependent. Like you might leave your husband, for example, and they are stalking you because they don't want you to succeed because they feel resentful for something, okay? Or some people might think that you're able to be successful in whatever that might be, okay? In whatever field it might be or whatever. So they want to attach themselves to you, even if it's not their right to do so. It might be a cousin, it might be even a spouse or ex-spouse or whatever. Now, in certain cases, when you are married, like for example, if you own a business together, there are certain things I'm sure that you have to, collaborate with or collaborate, and you have to agree with. And I'm sure there might be some sort of legal issues if you guys have disagreements. That might be a possibility, okay? But when you're dealing with, somebody choosing jobs for you and then making your life a living hell, it's human trafficking, and it's extremely abusive. And I would never want to be in a relationship where a man or woman, for that matter. I know I'm not gay, but I'm just saying is I would not want to be financially dependent on somebody. And you have to watch out for people who are in this sort of situation. This is one of the biggest flags of human trafficking, where they use employment manipulation to keep their their targets in line. And I was going to make a video about October being domestic abuse and violence and everything, but I don't even think I'm going to make that video, because I already made a video like that a few years ago. But I will say that when you're dealing with the issue of women in divorce, and a lot of times they can't find work after that because their husbands are doing this, and a lot of men in law enforcement do this because they feel like they have the influence of the community to bring this sort of action against their wives. And of course it's illegal, it's totally illegal, but people fall into it. And I think the reason why a lot of people fall into it is because they become quote unquote friends, or they're like in the in crowd. And the in crowd is always going to become corrupt after a certain period of time, okay? Especially when you're dealing with a lot of people. And in this situation, I felt like people were trying to compete against me, which I was not interested in competing. I knew very good and well that, like some of the people who got involved in this, who, have gone to receive their 4-year degrees and whatever, were involved in this. And I think, you know, a lot of people are into status. They feel as though that is makes them a somebody, and they felt as though they wanted to compete against somebody that they thought was a nobody, right? Well, to me, if you really want to compete against somebody, if you really want to, you would want to compete with somebody um, who's kind of like on the same thing. Like if I wouldn't want to be in a debate with somebody if I'm good at history, and then I'm going to debate against somebody who's good at trigonometry. I would want to I would want to face off with somebody so I can have a real competition, right? I'm not interested in competing with other people. All I wanted to do was survive. Like I just wanted to get a little decent job. That's why I moved down here. I moved down here because I wanted to get a little decent job, get affordable housing, and live my little life. I never realized I was going to be trafficked. Never. I never realized I was going to be trafficked, and it's caused me a lot of mental pain as well as financial pain in the past and everything else. And I know that there's some people who, like my perps, probably hear my videos, and they don't understand. To them, they're like, get over it. Or people who may have participated in my targeting and may not have realized it, or maybe they feel guilty about it, and then they think that I'm not. Okay, but I will tell you, year after year after year after year dealing with this, and then finding out that so many of the things that literally destroyed you psychologically is a result of this whole issue that was a lifelong issue. It is extremely terrifying to you because you look at people in a completely different, you will never see things the same. So, and especially if somebody feels like huffy puffy about me expressing how I feel, you've left me no choice, okay? Because obviously I don't trust anybody in these, psychological, or what do you call it, psychological, psychiatric type places. I don't trust the medical profession because, they too violate laws and do things that are against rules, okay? I realize that corruption is pretty much what rules the world. Okay, things are not fair. They're not just. And I keep thinking, oh my gosh, if you're looking at people in positions of power, people who make good money, people who own things, people who they're movers and the shakers, who collaborate and work in this sort of cabal to literally destroy a person and shatter a person. And you see this sort of corruption among quote unquote respectable people. And sadly, you start to realize, okay, people with power are corrupt. It's hard not to be. I mean, when you feel like you have the power to lay down, whether you're doing it illegally or not, okay, you have the power to destroy someone's fate or whatever. There's going to be abuses of power. And I keep thinking about, oh my gosh, then that means, obviously, I think about politicians. That's the one thing. I mean, I keep thinking, God, what a really corrupt world we live in. I say take cover, I try to, I have to go out and deal with the outside world like everyone else, but those times where I'm here at my house where I never feel safe. I will tell you, I never feel safe. But I know as an adult who's gone through this that I don't feel like I really want to deal much with the outside world, and that's my true feeling on that issue. Except for I know there's certain things in my life that I need to pursue because I'm getting older and I want to pursue certain things, and I will. I'm going to have to go out and find certain things in my life, okay, certain people that I need to reach out to and in my future. But I don't want to feel I don't want to feel like uh, I'm somebody who, or I don't want people to uh, feel as though I'm playing hard to get. You know, because some women, I don't know. I think some women want to have, uh, you know, the prospect of a suitor. You know what I mean? Obviously, I would not be interested in a suitor, especially if they're related to me. That's really disgusting to me. Okay. And I don't know why anyone would normalize such a thing, you know. But anyway, but some people would. They would be very excited and whatever. But I understand that somebody who, and I believe this, anybody who traffics another human being cannot be good. That's my view. Okay, I mean mainly because of the abusive nature of it, and it's something that you can't really explain away. You know what I mean? But it's not because I'm not. It's not a foolish decision. It's the only decision I have. You know, I'm making this decision and taking my life into my own hands for the reason is because number one, everybody's got to do it. Everybody has to be responsible for their own life. Okay, I am over the age of 18, long over the age of 18, and I have to take responsibility for my own life, come what may. You know what I mean? I think I'm more terrified of running into abusive people than I am of facing my future, whatever that might be. You know what I mean? And I was thinking, you know, as I was laying in bed, you know, when I was little, I used to have, you know, a lot of supernatural experiences dealing with apparitions and stuff like that. And this is will be talked about on my other channel. And I used to fear like these sort of spiritual experiences. Now, at this point in my life, I am more happy with the unknown than I am with the known. Like, I don't give a flying fuck about the outside world. I'm more terrified of the outside world than I am of, you know, the supernatural. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just shocked at what I've learned and what I've come to know. And so, but anyway, no, it's just people have to live their life, and whatever that might be, it might mean that um, uh, I become broke, or it might mean that I become rich, or whatever. It's always a, what do you call it, a 50-50 chance. You know what I mean? And that's a 50-50 chance that everybody has. You know, regardless of who you are, whether you're male, female, black, white, short, tall, whatever, everybody has to face life. You know what I mean? And that's just how it is. You know, and I know that I have a lot of obstacles in my life. That I didn't necessarily create. You know what I mean? I feel as though I have had more struggle in my life with people because of the problems that other people have brought me, and and I can't take responsibility for that. You know what I mean? I won't take responsibility for that. But I do try to take, and I do take responsibility for my own life. And I know the kind of life that I want to live, and I know, and it's not anything extravagant. Quite the contrary. I'm a very down to earth person. You know what I mean? But I'm satisfied with the little things I have. Some people would have went out and got new furniture. I'm like, I could hang on to this bed for a few more years. I got one of those like foam beds or whatever. And mainly because I know that as an older woman, I have to hang on to money a little bit more than I used to because, after losing that 10 years after leaving the farmer's place, okay, I literally had no savings. I have no savings, okay, other than what I have in the bank, and that's it. I think, sometimes perps think that you got it better than they do. They do. They think that you have it better than they do, and they think that you're going to leave like a large inheritance on the earth when you die, and all this other stuff. I have no such things, okay? And then people start, and I think a lot of people kind of like think more, and I can tell that certain people are extremely dependent on me because if they think that I have everything, then they must not have anything. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm very grateful for everything I have. That's not what I'm saying. But it's not like, I'm somebody who's driving around in a Rolls Royce or anything like that. You know what I mean? And I don't know. It just kind of pissed me off that people would do this to me. And it's not because, uh, it's not about being selfish. It's about, playing with something that allows you to live. That's the crime of human trafficking. And I kind of got off the subject because, but I will say that this issue has a lot to do with my day-to-day behavior, how I see things, how I deal with things, what I feel every day. I deal with trauma on a daily basis. Like, I still wake up with bullshit in my head, it's hard. So, like, when I think about people being resentful for me hearing me talk about what I'm going through after they've closed off, any sort of support or help that I can get, I'm going to call that person a narcissist, borderline evil, because, don't ever think that you have the right to tell somebody how they should feel after dealing with something, knowing that they lost the majority of their life over something that, you know, they shouldn't have had. They shouldn't have, and no one should ever have had to live through that. I will say that there's a lot of people who are targeted individuals who've gone through worse. Maybe they've been like bludgeoned, and they might have been like beaten and stuff like that. Physical violence as well. But I will tell you, being financially abused, being emotionally abused, like people coming into your job and just like literally wreaking havoc. It's very disturbing. And in spite of all of that, and the bullshit reputation that I got that I didn't deserve, because if you really look at the situation, these rumors that are going about, are completely unsubstantiated, and it's obvious, okay, because especially at the time where I was being monitored, like you can see me going into my house doing absolutely fucking nothing. They see me walking through the door, staying in my house for hours and hours and hours. I would go out for a walk. I know that they had neighbors watching me. Okay, I know that they did. They see me walking. I'd go to the park, hang out in the park a little bit, and come back home. Nothing in my life was like even really noteworthy to even talk about. Okay, but still, they would believe these ridiculous things. You know what I mean? I'm not. I'm just somebody who's trying to live out the rest of my years and trying to um, live out some of the dreams that I've wanted in the past. So there's been so much that's been taken from me. When I think about it, things that a lot of people take for granted. And it's like I'm sure, like when I really think about it, okay, I don't give a fuck about the prom. I really don't. Okay, but I never went to the prom. You know what I mean? And I know the reason why I didn't go to the prom because of this bullshit. You know what I mean? Like my life was interrupted. It was continually interrupted. It was continually, dealing with people intervening in my life or trying to manipulate things behind the scenes or spreading rumors, gossip, and I don't know, whatever. It was just always game playing. I don't want to play any games. I don't play games, okay? But anyway, back to my fate in the hands of destiny. Everyone's fate is in the hands of destiny. Some people have a little bit more secure backing, and I can't say that I do. And I don't want to be dependent on people who abuse me. No matter how many times they say they're sorry, no matter what, whatever the situation I am in, I understand. I have assessed the situation quite well. Okay, and I understand with the problems that they've caused. I understand the bullshit they've caused. I understand all the pain. Whatever that is, I have to face that future. You know what I mean? Whatever that means. You know what I mean? Live or die. I mean, seriously, that's how life is sometimes. And if you look around, a lot of people are living that reality right now. It is what it is. But anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video. I just, my heart goes out to targeted individuals, especially the targeted individuals who just recently came to realize that this is what it was. This is what it was year after year when you go back and you think about what was going on in your life and what happened, and then you're thinking that all this stuff, it literally, the very first, I would say, year that you come to realize this, it is Like you literally feel like you want to throw up on a daily basis. Like it literally shakes and disturbs the fuck out of you, you know. And I feel so much compassion for people who come to this realization, because it is traumatizing, and they may not realize what it really means. It means that you have to be careful around your surroundings. You have to understand that there's people out there who are not good. They're not good. If they think that it's okay to go along and traumatize you continuously, they're not good people. Okay? And you also have to deal with the fact that you have to be your own mentor. You have to be your own guidance through this. You have to be your own counselor through this. And I do encourage you to make videos, okay? And I know some of these targets are being put out of work right now, maybe because their perps don't want them to have a job. They want to keep them in isolation. They're abusing them it's extreme abuse. And they're confused and they're worried because they know that every time you go into a job interview, it's like, let's poke, prod, and like, fuck, just want to mess with you when you have no money and you are scared half to death and you're disturbed, and it's very overwhelming. And when you find out that the medical profession is very warped, and as well because they're people. People tend to forget that people are just people. And aside from like their professionalism, rules, regulations, standard procedures, or whatever, people get into workplaces and they have their special friends. They do. And I was just thinking a few days ago about how how I really don't trust any agency at all. Like my trust in everything has gone. So I was thinking about I was thinking about the adoption agencies. How many fucking black market children are out there trafficked, to pedophiles and people who abuse them. And it's very easy to do how sometimes when you might have worked fast food job when you're younger, and how people give you those burgers on the side, because nobody's looking or whatever. People give their friends food or drinks or whatever at the workplace. How do you know? I really do believe that people give out babies as well. I really do. I believe that they do that, and it's easy for me to believe it. And it's understandable why they do that, because people do shit like this. They're corrupt. I can't see good in people. I really have a hard time seeing good in people. You know what I mean? So it's like, and believe me, I think about this all the time. You know what I mean? But anyway, no, Maria's not naive. Maria's not foolish. Maria's not somebody who is unrealistic. I do understand that I have a lot of obstacles in my life, and I do know that I have had to struggle many years because of something that I didn't deserve, because I've had overbearing people in my life who feel entitled to be a part of my life when I don't want them to be. And then on top of all of that, I've dealt with, a lot of persecution from a bunch of ignorant people. So, I still have to survive as best as I can. You know what I mean? I don't ever want to be a burden on anyone, and I have to take care of myself. I'm all I have. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video. I hope everyone has a good evening, and I'll be back with another video sometime later. Happy Thursday. Good night.